Hey everyone, Hazz here. Today I'll be showing you how to fight Killmonger. So Killmonger can be a pretty difficult champion to fight, especially if you don't have the right counter. So he has this Vibranium Armor, and essentially it can give you thorns with his reverberation. He also has some other things on his special attacks that can be quite annoying. So there's a few things that you've got to watch out for. So let's go and dive into his abilities here. And the first thing you can see is his reverberation mechanic. So this essentially is his whole sig ability, or most of his sig ability, and it'll deal damage back to you based on how much power he has when he activates it. So it's whenever he's attacked and reverberation is not on cooldown, he'll activate this little, it kind of looks like the glancing symbol if you've ever seen that, or like a damage reflect symbol. And essentially it'll just inflict physical damage back onto you whenever you damage him or hit his block. And of course this is quite annoying. Any sort of thorns type node is pretty annoying because they're usually, not every champion can counter it perfectly. There are only a few certain champions that counter it really well. In addition here, you see he has additional crit resistance. That really isn't a huge deal, but it can be something to take note of. But the bigger thing here is that second note about Vibranium Armor. So what it will do is anytime you inflict a debuff on him, he'll gain 15% of his missing power. What this means is if you place defense with suicides, a Killmonger with suicides, or if you inflict any sort of debuff on him, he's going to gain power. And we'll show that later on how that's annoying. The second thing here are his special attacks. The first one will give Killmonger 2 counterpunch charges, where if you hit his block he'll go unstoppable, a bit like Mole Man. And then his special 2 will give him indestructible charges, which aren't too big of a deal, but it's something to keep note of. You can't deal damage to him through attacks until they're gone. So I'd say the reverb and the missing power part are the two most annoying parts. However, if you're not careful, the counterpunch charges can definitely cause a slip up. So now we're going to go have a look at a few clips. First clip here with Guardian, you can see whenever I'm hitting him I'm getting that damage back, which can be quite annoying. Then go here and beta special 1 out. So yeah, you can see that reverb is active right now and it's just taking me down a bit whenever I hit him, which is kind of annoying. However, Guardian does have some passive shock damage, so he's not the worst option for Killmonger out there. But now let's go have a look at Sunspot. So you can see here we're parrying, doing a combo. You can see we're taking both reverb damage and we're also giving him lots of power because we're placing lots of debuffs. So that's something to keep note of. If you're using Sunspot for him, he's not a very good matchup at all. You can see here just look how much power he gets from that. He gets pretty much 2 bars of power from that. And then you can see here, look at that reverb damage you take as well. It's pretty insane. You can see here from the special one, look how much reverb he takes. Over 1,000 in a hit. That's a lot of reverb damage to take. In addition to gaining lots of power as well. So Sunspot is really not a good matchup for Killmonger, both because of the debuffs, look how much power he gets, and all the reverb damage as well. So yeah, if you're going against Killmonger, do not use Sunspot. Next up we got Omega. You can see here I accidentally triggered the unstoppable charge, and I only get punished. Generally Omega's a pretty decent counter because of his thorns counter with his tentacles. You can see here no reverb damage, so that's really fantastic. You can see no reverb from his mediums, heavies, or special attack hits as well, which we'll show. You can see here going for a heavy counter, and then we're going to beta special 2 here. You can see just no reverb damage from the mediums, which is fantastic against someone like Killmonger. So yeah, if you had to pick one mutant to go against Killmonger, I think Omega would be one of my top picks, not just because he's my favourite champion, but I think he is a really good counter in general. You can see here, throwing off special 2, taking absolutely no reverb damage, despite having reverb active. So that's really quite amazing how he's able to just ignore it on most of his attacks. And yeah, even though he can't really stop the power gain from the debuffs, Omega doesn't really place too many debuffs, he just has the degen and parry, and it's usually quite manageable because he does a lot of passive damage, so you don't really need to hit them much. But one of my favourite options by far is Cosmic Ghost Rider, because you see that armor break there? That shuts down pretty much anything that makes him annoying. It shuts down his power gain from debuffs, it shuts down his reverb, and it shuts down his indestructible charges. It doesn't shut down the counterpunch, but it's not really a huge deal. It's mainly the reverb and the power gain that are the two biggest defense strengths when it comes to Killmonger. And Cosmic Ghost Rider shuts it down from the get-go, right at the start of the fight, because he places an armor break against villains. And it's fantastic. Next up here we got Havoc. Havoc's really great because his mediums are non-contact, so they're able to ignore his thorns. You can see his light attacks still do take the reverb damage, but his mediums are actually going to ignore that. So you can just spam mediums, similar to Omega, and completely ignore that. Next up, we've got Hyperion, a bit of a similar story to Havoc. His special 1 is non-contact, so he's able to just spam special 1 via his power gain and ignore that reverb quite nicely. You can see here, going for a special 1, the beams just completely ignore reverb, it didn't take any damage, which is fantastic. Similar thing with Gambit to Omega and Havoc, where his mediums can reduce Thorn's damage for Killmonger. And yeah, so he's really great for Killmonger. One little note that I did want to make is that if you bait a special and then get him at low power, then you can actually kind of ignore reverb with any character, because his reverb is based on stored power. So if he's got no power, the reverb damage is going to be very minimal. But in a similar way, if his power is almost full, he's going to inflict quite a lot of reverb damage on you. So that's just a quick little note to keep in mind when you're fighting Killmonger with most non-Thorn countering champions. That's quite a good tactic, but generally you would use a Thorn's counter just in case. Next up, we're looking at Quake. You can actually Quake Killmonger. People say you can't because of the concussion or just keep giving him power, but actually if you throw on your concussion when his reverb is about to expire, his Vibranium Armor actually won't reactivate. And that means, you see, without his Vibranium Armor, he can't actually gain power from debuffs. And so you can see here, we're applying debuffs, but he's gaining no power. So Quake is a really good Killmonger counter as long as you play it right and get the concussion up when his reverb expires. Last up here, I just wanted to quickly show you special 2 decks in the corner in case you get cornered. See here, it's 1 at the start, and then 2, 3, and then the final 1 at the end. You gotta be a little bit quick with that last one, because otherwise you're gonna get hit at the end, but generally it's not too hard to evade in the corner. So just to summarize here, he's got his reverb, which will deal physical damage back to you whenever you hit him when his reverberation passive is up. And you can bypass this with Thorn's counters like Omega and Gambit. You can counter it with champs that have non-contact attacks, and you can counter it with ability accuracy reduction, and also you can counter it with armor break as well. So those are a few counters that you can use to get past his reverb. In addition, he also has the power gain. Whenever you apply a debuff, it's 15% of missing power. So that's something to really keep note of if you're using a champ that places a lot of debuffs, like we talked about earlier, such as Sunspot. And we also talked about the counterpunch charges and the indestructible charges from the special attack. So the counterpunch charges, they can be kind of annoying, just don't hit into block while they're active, so that you won't get the unstoppable. So yeah, not too much of a big deal there. And the indestructible charges just makes your attacks do no damage. They include special 3s as well, so just don't really worry about them too much. But if you are throwing a special 3 for damage purposes, or basic attacks for damage purposes, then you might want to get rid of those beforehand. But yeah, the main thing is the reverb, like I said before, and the power gain can also be kind of annoying. But overall, I hope this guide helped you to fight Killmonger, and I hope you slay him in war and all the other content that you are having trouble with him in. Thanks so much for watching, have a great day.